Good morning, everyone. I'm Jeff Forster with Minnesota Lakes and Rivers, and we have a webinar for you today that is being co-hosted with the Minnesota Green Corps members, Alero and Noel. They're working with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency and trying to save loons and other waterfowl from lead poisoning by sponsoring a voluntary lead tackle exchange program that's going to be running for the next year or two, I think. Is that correct? 3 years?
Three.
3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this is funded entirely from the money that came from the Deepwater Horizon settlement when the drilling platform blew up. Because so many loons from Minnesota obviously migrate, like many Minnesotans, to the Gulf of Mexico in the winter and then come back. True snowbirds, kindred spirits for so many of us. And I know that there's been some talk at the legislature. There were actually two bills, House File 3220 and Senate File 4323, that would have also sponsored and increased funding for a voluntary lead tackle exchange program. Those bills were referred to the Environment Committee, and shortly after that, the legislature was taken over with coronavirus efforts. And it's unclear at this point if they're going to take up any of that legislation, if they will wait a period of time and maybe reconvene this summer. Leadership and the governor haven't quite worked that out yet. Their plate is full and pretty much everything's on hold. And the building is almost entirely shut down unless you work there. And there's been a couple of cases of COVID that have popped up at the legislature, so they're being very, very cautious. Um, the other bill that might be interesting is House File 3063, which is a non-toxic ammunition vouchers with funding provided. Um, this really is directed at raptors, turkey vultures, eagles, hawks, things that eat carrion. A lot of them are getting infected or poisoned by lead. Following, they feed on gut piles or carcasses and they end up getting bits of lead. And lead isn't so good for humans either. So I will sign out right now. And you can ask questions using the chat. I'll watch that pretty carefully, and I'll turn it over to Alara and Noel. And thank you so much for coming on this morning.
Yeah, we're super excited to be here virtually with you all. And it just happens to work out great considering the circumstances we're in today, that we chose to do a webinar with you guys. So Noel and I are going to briefly introduce ourselves and then we'll get started. Noel, do you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Noelle Hitz. I graduated in the spring from UW River Falls with a degree in conservation and outdoor education. I've also done a summer internship with Clean Boats, Clean Water, so I'm pretty familiar with the whole lake association scene. And I'm really excited to get out on the lake this summer.
Hi, I'm Alero Moju, and I did not just graduate college. I graduated in 2015 from the U of M. I double majored in French and Global Studies with a concentration in Environment and Sustainable Development. After that, I actually served with the Green Corps, which is an AmeriCorps program hosted by the MPCA, and I worked for a nonprofit over in East St. Paul called Urban Roots. And then after that, I went on to serve the Peace Corps as a environmental education volunteer in Mexico, and then worked for a national nonprofit and their location here in the Twin Cities. And then now I decided to do Green Corps again. I'm really excited to work on this initiative and gain some experience working in the public sector. So yeah, why don't we go ahead and get started? So I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of the program. So Get the Lead Out is not technically a new initiative. It did start in the early 2000s and ran for about 10 years. And then when the recession hit, what happened was they had to sort of choose a program that's somewhat high profile, and sadly it was defunded. And some of the impacts from the initial program is that it created numerous educational and assistance initiatives around the state. They had about 20 tackle exchanges each year throughout the state as well, and they collected about 1,000 pounds of lead every summer. They also helped significantly bring awareness towards consumers about the issue, and also helped retailers push having non-lead alternatives at their stores. So yeah. And this map that you see here in front of you is the map from many years back that they used to use. It has all the tackle exchanges that they were going to have throughout the year. So as you can see, it's quite well dispersed into most of Minnesota. They didn't have that large of a team then working on this initiative either. It was either one or two people working on it. So they really tried to get out there, and they got as far reaching as they could with the resources they had. Noelle, do you have anything to add about the former program? All right. And this picture here is a picture of Jeff Letterman, who's over with the DNR. And this is some of the lead tackle that we were able to get one summer. So you can see it's a lot of lead. It's really great that people were interested in participating. And yeah. And Noelle's going to talk about Deepwater Horizon.
All right. As Jeff mentioned earlier, we are funded from the Deepwater Horizon BP Oil Settlement Fund. Deepwater Horizon happened in April 20th of 2010. It was the largest marine oil spill of marine oil drilling. We know that between 600 and 1,000 loons were killed in the event of Deepwater Horizon. There isn't a number of how many loons have been affected since then, how many are unable to reproduce because of this event. So many more loons were affected, and the population did take a big hit that's not quantified in these studies. And the migratory research from Kevin Kenow proves that Minnesota loons were in the Gulf of the time of Deepwater Horizon. So on the next slide, we have his migratory data. He tracked loons from Minnesota and northern Wisconsin and showed where they migrated to. As you can see, loons from Minnesota did go to the Gulf of Mexico in the year of 2010. And just a little bit about loons and lead in general to give you some background info. Lead fishing sinkers get lost, and loons can scoop them up with pebbles that they use to digest the fish bones that they eat. Animals will then have physical and behavioral changes and can die within 2 to 3 weeks after eating lead. And it takes a very small amount of lead. At the National Eagle Center, they do a presentation where they show you a penny, and just the Lincoln's nose on a penny is all it takes to kill an eagle, and loons are even smaller than an eagle. So just think about that. And approximately 15 to 20% of yearly loon deaths in Minnesota are caused by lead toxicosis, which is lead poisoning. And on our next slide, we have a photo of a loon from northern Minnesota that was brought to the Roseville Rehabilitation Center and was found to have lead in its stomach. And you can see the jig that's in there. And it did die of lead poisoning. And now Lara's going to talk a little bit about what we're doing currently.
So now we have 2 Minnesota Green Corps members, so Noelle and myself. Our program is funded for the next 3 years. So that's great. We're excited. So we're the first round of Green Corps members working on this initiative, and there will be 2 more sets of Green Corps members working on it. And And it's actually the first time that the MPCA themselves have had Green Corps members serving the agency. So it's a huge step for the MPCA, a great advantage. And we focus on predominantly the education and outreach aspect of this project. So we will be the ones mostly that are in the forefront of doing the tackle exchanges per se. We also will be doing events, you know, around at schools and local events, like huge events that might be happening, like the state fair. Those are the sort of places that we would normally be present. Another place is also sports shows. That's a huge part also of what we do, getting to engage with a larger demographic of people coming in that do fish. And especially this year, we had a survey come out and it was really short, about 10 questions, just to gauge what people's awareness was on the issue and how open they would be to seeing changes on what kind of tackle they use. And if they already do purchase non-toxic lead-free fishing tackle. So far, the amount of sports shows on the slide is not correct. We have been to, I don't know, I think like 5 or 6 of them. Something like that, 5 of them. 6 would have been the Northwest Sports Show that was supposed to take place in April, but you know, sadly, due to current affairs, that was canceled. We were really looking forward to being there. It's probably one of the larger sports shows that we attend. But so far, we attended sports shows here in St. Paul at the River Center, 2 in Duluth, 1 in St. Cloud, and also 1 in Fargo, just because of its proximity to Moorhead and how often people probably travel between, you know, that area and Minnesota and use and fish on Minnesota lakes. We thought that would be a great place to be, even though it was out of state. So far, we have about 1,200 people who participated in our survey, and about 83% of those people say that this is an important or very important issue. So this is a bit of a change from what we've heard from, you know, when this program last took place. And there was a bit more hesitation, less knowledge, less research, and less public awareness on the issue than it is now. So it's really comforting to know that a lot of people, just Minnesotans, are happy and excited that, you know, this is taking place and think that something should be done. And other things we've been currently working on is just redoing our branding and our communications materials, trying to get our website updated so that we're giving more new, fresh information for the public, and finding new ways to engage with people and to spread the word about getting the lead out. So here we have a picture. These are, on the left, you will see some sample packets. These sample packets we hand out at these larger events, sports shows, probably be the same sort of thing we would hand out at like the state fair, like a really big event where we have people coming by and doing short engagement with us. And usually in those, we provide, so far right now, we haven't actually received our money yet. Sadly, there was some holdup at the ALC level, and then there was a whole committee hearing. It was in the news, but our money has been released, technically speaking, but it does have to go through some administrative processes before we can actually use it. So I think it's about April 1st is what we're expecting. So next week, hopefully, we'll actually be able to get our hands on the money and really start doing stuff and making things move a little quicker. But in these sample packets, we have a tin split shot, and then we have a steel egg sinker, and then we have a jig. We have jigs of different colors and sizes, as well as the other 2 products in there. And the jig heads are a tin and bismuth mix. And so what we're really aiming to do with giving out these sample packets and with the tackle exchanges is giving people the opportunity to try out different lead-free alternatives and see what they like best and how it works for them. And also our hope from that is getting feedback as to what people really like and what people, you know, we're like, not so sure about. And we can also use that feedback to help retailers with, what they should stock, what does well, and also with manufacturers when we get to that step in our program. And on the right there's a picture of Noelle and I that was here at the River Center earlier on, I think in February. And tabling at the Get the Let Out event? Or the workshop?
Noelle and Alara. Gail Klein asks, since so many events currently have been canceled, is that having an impact on the program?
So we're going to get to a little bit to that shortly, and sort of ways we're trying to like mitigate like the impact that it could have, right? So we're going to talk a little bit, and we're going to ask actually for some of the participants that are here today for some of their input when it comes to some of the things we can do moving forward. So we will get to that question. It is, we do plan on addressing it. So yeah, but yes, it definitely does have an impact. Most of our events through the PCA asked us, I think, I don't know, a week or so ago, whenever we were last in office, who knows now, asked us, you know, hey, can you like let us know what events you have going on through May 31st? It was quite a few events, and we're not going to be attending them. Those are canceled. If the PCA doesn't allow us to attend, they're probably canceled. The people hosting them have canceled them. So this time we're just trying to use to strategically plan ways that we can address the issue. And so Noelle's going to talk a little bit more about our future plans.
Yeah, so originally we had one more sports show left. We no longer have that sports show. As Lara mentioned, it is canceled. And typically we were planning on having 50 tackle exchanges this summer. We do have to kind of rethink what those tackle exchanges might look like in the current climate. We would love to hear any ideas that you have about how we could come up with a contactless tackle exchange, any way that we can work together with you all to expand our network without having to do that person-to-person contact is great. And we're super excited to hear any creative ideas and solutions you might have. We're also, fingers crossed, going to the governor's fishing opener. It hasn't been officially canceled yet. We will see how that goes. And we plan on doing that every year for the 3-year program. And we are bringing on 2 Pollution Control Agency employees that will be full-time employees, not Green Corps members, that will be working on the retail and manufacturer side. So just to clarify, Alero and I do not work with retailers and manufacturers unless we're going to like a local bait and tackle shop to host a tackle exchange. That's going to be the PCA employees who will be on hopefully this summer. We are working on that currently. And basically they're going to be selling point of purchase displays and floor displays of lead-free fishing tackle basically at cost to bait and tackle shops across Minnesota to help defray that cost for them and make these products more widely available for Minnesota consumers. They're also hopefully going to be working with Minnesota State Parks to have those same displays available, because I know a lot of people like to go fishing at the state parks, and where better to get your fishing tackle than at the state park. Alero, do you have anything to add? Okay. All right. And here's just, we made like a brainstorm map and kind of plotted out points where we thought we would like to be and just seeing where we were in terms of covering the entire Minnesota area. We still have some open spots, but we think we got pretty much everything covered. Again, we don't know what these tackle exchanges are going to look like, but this is originally kind of where we were planning in terms of tackle exchanges for this summer. We'll see how that goes. And here is a couple of photos. Oh, I'm sorry. What was that, Alera?
Can I ask something about the map? So yeah. That map that you saw on the other slide, we're working on having a sort of interactive version of this on our website too. So hopefully, you know, we're still getting adjusted right now at the PCA with all of these changes that are happening, but we're hoping that we will have something up there where we have planned tackle exchanges on our website. So even if this year we're doing it contactless or whatever that may be, that's fine, but we would still post it there so people know, hey, okay, I can bring my lead here and they're going to ship me something, or however we choose to go about it. But in future years, they'll have the event time and dates as well, and people across the state will have access to it.
Alero and Noel, Suzanne Tyra asks, how does our lake association get on the list to receive the packets once the money comes through?
So we have a form that we're going to be sending where you can request to have a tackle exchange. Currently, we are still planning to have tackle exchanges this summer. We do have Plan B set up, and again, we are looking for creative solutions to that, but we'll send the form in this chat, and then we'll also, I see somebody asked about the website. We'll send a link to the website as well. So you'll have both of those links in the chat.
Okay, and what about, will any of these packs be available for distribution at youth summer camps? The Boy Scouts of America Northern Star Council has 4 camps that should be operational this summer from June through August.
Yeah, we would love to work with camps. If you have some contact information for those camps, we can definitely work with them. It might work better for camps like that instead of doing sample packets, we would give them some bulk tackle. But yeah, we would love to work with those camps if you have that contact
There's
information.
boys and girls working on fishing merit badges. So
Oh, cool.
maybe contacting Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, you know, the councils generally might be.
Yeah, we have worked with them. Unfortunately, the contact is kind of stopped. The Boy Scouts didn't email me back at all when I contacted them. But the Girl Scouts have worked with us in other ways. I'll move on to the next slide. It's just an example of our past retail displays. So the one on the left with the white background is the point of purchase display. And then the one on the right with the black background is the floor display that they used to have for the retailers in Minnesota. Lara, do you have anything to add about those? Okay. That's pretty much all we have. This form link doesn't work for you all because you can't click on it. So we'll be sending that in our chat here. And maybe Jeff will be able to send that out in an email as well to attendees. And we'll be posting the link for our website shortly. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, interesting. Jeff, it's not letting me paste a link into the chat.
Why don't you email it to me?
Okay.
There was a question about educational materials for classes. We are currently still developing what those educational materials for the classroom setting would look like. We had a meeting earlier on in the fall with the Raptor Center over at the U of M, and we know that there's a few other partners who are interested in there being a set education material, and because our work is just so aligned, we are trying to develop it in a very cohesive way amongst all of us, and do something that we can share and it be the same sort of thing. So we don't have anything like concrete per se for a classroom setting. We are, like Noelle and I are working on developing like a Loon game and sort of activities that can be done at a school. That would be engaging for youth. But we're not there yet. But hopefully by next year, we'll have something like real that, teachers, and that's what we are hoping to do, because we know we would have a larger reach if we have something that teachers themselves can do with their kids.
And I was able to post both of the links in the chat there. So the first link is a link to the form where you can fill out if you would like a tackle exchange. The second link is our website.
All right, and there's another question here from Kelly asking for more information on what an exchange looks like. For instance, do you swap everything? When you say tackle, does this mean sinkers or, and just emphasis, she's not an avid angler, just perfectly okay. And these are great questions. Do you want to speak a little bit to that, Noelle?
Yeah, so the tackle exchanges are not a one-for-one exchange, as the cost of lead-free fishing tackle is a little bit more than lead fishing tackle. So basically what we're giving you is a good enough sample so that you can try things out for yourself and have the power to make those purchasing decisions later on. So we will give you a little bit more tackle. If you bring in like 5 pounds of lead, we might be able to give you a little bit more than if you bring in a couple of jig heads that you found. So what we're going to have available with bulk, basically we'll have a couple of options. Right now, what we're planning on having is tin split shot, a jig head that's a tin and business mix. It's the nature jig from Northland Fishing Tackle. Some egg sinkers that are steel, but that's still a little bit up for debate. Bullet weight and possibly a walking sinker. So we have a couple of different options.
We will also have some tungsten available too, but you know, tungsten is the hot commodity. So we will be giving that out sparingly. Like we're not going to give someone a handful of like tungsten with this. We don't have the like. It's not a wise way of us using the money that we do have, but that will be there too. So we hope, like Noelle said, to have people be able to try things out. Sadly, we can't afford to do a one-for-one exchange, but you will like people will definitely leave feeling okay, like okay, I got something out of this. This is worth it. So great question. Another question I see here from Kelly is, do you promote at community events? For example, would a take a kid fishing event be a good place to do an exchange? The answer is yes, 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 absolutely. Partnerships, building, I think that's a large part since we're just in that initial stage of revamping this program. It's been 10 years since it took place. Reestablishing partnerships with community members and community organizations. And as mentioned earlier, like organizations such as the Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, the YMCA, all of those things are things that Noelle and I have been working on since this fall. And we're very pleased, like we've come up with some like pretty nice relationships and partnerships that we'll definitely hopefully be able to use this year in one way or another. But we do, being at events like that is key and ideal for us and definitely where we want to be. So.
Yep. I see a question from John. Is non-lead tackle generally available in sports shops? So in terms of like larger sports shops like Cabela's, Gander Outdoors, Fleet Farm, it is widely available. What we found is that sometimes in smaller bait and tackle shops, they have a harder time stocking it, which is part of the reason why we want to work with the smaller bait and tackle shops in northern Minnesota, for example, to help them be able to stock that for folks, because I know people want to support their local bait and tackle shops. It's also pretty widely available online. And we do have some links on our website to retailers and manufacturers that carry lead-free products if you're looking to order some online at this time. Yeah.
There's another, can you guys, I think you could see the question now, but there's another question by John. Do you have materials that could be sent out to a Lake Association email distribution list? The answer is yes, we do. Some of the things that we are happy to share and send out is our fact sheet. Also, which has just information, like a broad overview on the subject matter and what the program does. And we also have another one pager, which summarizes a little bit more detail and is mostly used for people who are interested in developing a partnership with us, about the program and how to get in touch with us. And also, I guess a good one too, now that we have it, is that Google form, that link that Noelle put in the chat earlier. Utilize it. People, we want to take advantage of people. People are a great resource. People are very innovative and come up with great ideas. So if people are like, oh my gosh, this would be a really great way to do a tackle exchange that's different from someone else that might be in your lake association, we're all ears. We would love to hear it. So.
Mm-hmm. And we're also available to, if you have a Lake Association newsletter, to write a little bit about ourselves for the newsletter if you're wanting that information.
Well, and actually, we are putting together newsletter content for our Lake Association members that we send out. It will be going out probably in the next 3 weeks. And that was one of my thoughts. We can also put out an email to all of our folks with your information and links to all the items that you mentioned as well, along with the recording of this event.
Yes. I think there's a question from Gail. Will the DNR or solid and water offices have any of your educational materials?
I think it's soil and water offices.
Oh, sorry. Soil and water offices.
So we can definitely hand those out to them if they're willing to put them there. But as of right now, they do not have those educational materials. We would love to have them at those offices if they're willing to put them out there.
Jessica is asking, do you focus on open fishing tackle or what about ice fishing? That's a great question. Most of our tackle is made for open water fishing. We are considering having some things there for ice fishing as well. But what we've noticed, and from people we've spoken to, whether it's anglers, people who work with the DNR in their fin program, is that a lot of anglers, ice fishing anglers, are using tungsten because of the way it sinks. And the slim profile of it works really well for ice fishing. So people still do use lead for ice fishing, just not as much. So our main focus is on open water fishing tackle. And we might, depending on what prices look like and if it's economically feasible for us in our program, be able to have a few things there for ice fishing.
And some of the materials that are now being used, there's a lot of materials. Tin, bismuth, tungsten, steel, brass, glass is being used, ceramics are being used. There are a lot of options that are out there. There used to be some like copper composites that were available, and some tungsten composites, but we're having a little bit harder time finding those now. Tungsten putty is available. It's mostly used for fly fishing, but it's a really good option, as you can mold it to whatever size and weight you need.
Yeah, there's a lot there, and our website has, all of those options listed. There is a somewhat, I will admit, somewhat dated list of manufacturers and retailers that do sell lead-free fishing tackle there. So you can go ahead and go on their website and see if there's anything there. But, as mentioned, I believe earlier, most major retail stores, whether it's Cabela's, Gander Outdoors, Fleet Farm, so on and so forth, they all carry some form of non-lead tackle.
Joe's Sporting Goods in St. Paul also has a good selection, and we found out Marine General in the Duluth area has good selection for lead-free fishing tackle too, if you're looking for more local.
We have something from Paul. I'll read it out, and Noelle will answer any questions that there is in here. So Paul says, hi all, looks like, so only the presenters, we can see this. Thanks MLR for putting this on, and Noelle and Alero for their great work. Noelle and Alero are restricted in what they can do, but I encourage all of you to contact your legislators. We need to get the lead out permanently in hunting and fishing. 20% of our state bird dies because of negligence, and people are cheap. Lots of trumpeter swans, eagles, and other wildlife are being impacted too. So yes.
Thanks, Paul.
Yes, thank you, Paul. Great message. Yes, and he's very right. And I don't think, maybe we talked a little bit about the eagles, but trumpeter swans has been a huge one too, that have been impacted, and it's been in the news as well. There's even like a local Girl Scout group. I think they're from the White Bear Lake area.
Venice Lake.
Yeah, that are working. Literally, we're at our the legislative committee hearing that we were at, sort of being like, you guys need to pass this. They need their money. This is important. And I think Noelle and I, our first event that we were at, thanks to Jeff Forrester, some of those Girl Scouts came out and they were like, we're working on this. This is great. We love it. We're going to do something about it. And that was like a really great way for Noelle and I to start our service year, is to have such enthusiastic young people who know and are excited and want to make these changes. So
yeah, the youth are definitely really excited about this. Everybody that we've talked to that's younger, like high school aged, is like, oh, this is a no-brainer. So
yeah. And also, I think something worth mentioning too is there are, like, part of our survey too is we do ask what are people's like limitations towards being able to access, or why they choose to not buy lead-free alternatives. There is something that Noelle and I have noticed, is that people, like, when we're at these sport shows, will be like, oh yeah, get the lead out. Yeah. You know, they used to use lead fishing tackle. Can you imagine? Thank God it's banned. And then walk away and we're like, it's not banned.
yeah.
Well, a lot of people don't actually know that about 95% of the tackle that you find in the store is still lead. So there's a lot of misconception and misinformation around it. So when people find out, some of them can be shocked. We've had some parents who are like, excuse me, what? And then they have their kids all take a sample pack and are like, oh no, we're never doing this again.
Yep.
So
through that same group, Lara and Noelle, we have a civic governance pilot in Ramsey where some of the Girl Scouts are engaged, but we also have the coach of the White Bear angling team, and he is the director of it for the next 2 years. And so I think they're beginning discussions about trying to, A, introduce these ideas, maybe B, go lead free, with kind of the next generation of anglers coming up without using lead. And creating a situation where lead becomes the exception rather than the rule.
yeah, absolutely. And we didn't really put that in the presentation, but we do have certain audiences that we really want to target, and youth are like pretty much way up high, if not the highest up there, because we know the impacts that youth do have on making, sustainable change. So
So we have some stickers that are available that we could possibly send you. They're really small right now. Is that something that people would be interested in having stickers that they could put, like waterproof stickers that are pretty sizable, like 1 to 3 inches?
yeah, they're about like this big. They're not very big.
Stickers, kids love stickers. Okay. We have been taking the little stickers with us to the sports shows, and we have found that kids love stickers. And we can certainly send you materials as lake associations. Stickers is one of those materials, and we could put another order in for those. And we can send fact sheets to go along with that as well. Okay, I think we have more stickers, Alera.
Yes, they've been quite popular, and it's been a good way for us to, at the sports shows, to draw parents in, because we ask the kids, oh, would you like a sticker? And they're like, yeah. And then we're like, okay, come take the survey, mom, dad. So yeah, we'll be sure to send some out. And also, if you have any other notes in that Google form, just, put as much information, and Noelle and I will get back to you without a doubt. We're excited to work with all of you who are interested. So buttons also we have a button machine somewhere in our office, but it's good to have these things in mind. We're still, like we were saying, developing sort of these like interactive handouts, and even for our booth, having some sort of fun little thing there for people to interact with. Those are things we're still developing at this time. So thank you for the button idea. So Kelly has asked, what can the average person do to promote this? I think, in my opinion, just having those conversations with family members and friends that who fish. Noelle and I are happy to send some sample packets always. We've already had people who've reached out to our supervisor, Kevin, and he'll later tell us, hey, this person called me, just your, average Joe, just someone, and was like, we would love some sample packets. And Noelle and I go ahead and send them out to them along with some fact sheets. So, those are things you can do. Just, I think, initiate conversation is always a good way to have people start reflecting and thinking. Do you have anything to add to that, Noelle?
Just that if we are mailing something, it might take a little bit. As you can see, we're not in the office, and we do have to be in the office to mail those things. So we'll be able to mail things as soon as we're back in the office.
And Sheila has asked about bumper stickers. I'm writing that one down too.
Good idea, yeah.
That would be really cool.
We don't do any of the graphic designing ourselves. We have a graphic designer at the Pollution Control Agency who's been really super helpful with this program and is super on board, and I'm sure he'll be really excited by that idea.
Yeah, well, definitely look into getting that done. And yeah, like mentioned earlier, if there's other things you need, just, that you would like promotional material about the event, let us know. It might take a bit, but we'll try to get it to you for sure.
So there are some waterproof stickers that are available. I use them on my water bottle. So they just have like a coating on the outside, but magnets could work too. We'll write that down.
I've written it down. All of these great ideas. Thank you.
And like Alero said, please feel free to share the Google form with anybody you think might be interested. As many responses as we can get, the better. The more voices we can get involved in this, the better. We're always looking for more input.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure about hunting. Paul says,
Wait,
do you know how many states have banned lead in hunting or fishing or both? I think Canada has banned certain sizes of lead for fishing sinkers, along with New Hampshire.
I know. States. I know the UK has some policies, and Canada also have some policies around them. As far as countries.
Over the years, there's been a number of bills that have come up at the legislature on using non-lead ammunition. They were able to pass it for any time you're shooting over water. So for all waterfowl, it's mandatory. But in other cases, for deer ammunition or other things like that, the bills ran into a lot of opposition. They even had a bill saying they didn't want to use lead on state land uh, to try and decrease the amount of lead in the environment on state land, and that didn't have enough votes to pass. I found, I made a bad mistake. I bought a case of ammunition of pheasant loads, and it was steel shot, and I've got a whole case of it. And so for the last 2 years, I've just been using steel shot because it's what I've got, and it works as well as anything else. I mean, I don't know. You know, um, I'm able to get birds, and they don't cripple, and I haven't noticed any real change, but I don't take long shots, and so maybe there's some change there. But pretty much I've switched over to steel shot for all bird hunting, and uh, copper jacketed for deer slugs and deer ammunition.
And Paul has entered in the chat to us that there's 6 states. ME, which is ME.
Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New York, Vermont, and Washington.
Sorry, it's Friday. And they have all enacted some regulation for the sale and use of lead fishing tackle. And like we were mentioning earlier, it's usually dependent on the size of it.
Yeah. It's okay, Lara.
I was like, ME.
So it looks like the Northeast is way ahead of us.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. We've been working with Dr. Mark Pokris. I can't remember exactly what he's a veterinarian who's very interested in loons and has been involved with the loon lead issue for a long time. And he's in the Northeast, so that makes a lot of sense. He's advocating over there.
And also worth mentioning is that they are building the National Loon Center here in Minnesota, in Wabasha. No, that's not in it's in Crossland. Sorry, the National Eagle Center is in Wabasha. If you have not been, go. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Not right now, obviously, but at some point. But yeah, we are really looking forward to seeing that to develop into something.
I guess, can I start a poll on here? I might ask, would anybody be interested in doing, instead of like an in-person tackle exchange, like a mail-in tackle exchange system? Is that, would that be interesting to anybody? And like, would lake associations be willing to have like a lead collection that they would send us then?
There's a poll button. Are you okay?
That could be expensive. If we could pay for the mailing costs, I'm not saying if, we could pay for the mailing costs. So lake associations would not have to worry about mailing in the lead. Like they would mail it in, but we could pay for the mailing costs, if that makes sense.
Yeah, all costs are, we'll cover anything and everything. Nothing will be out of pocket for you guys in regards to putting this on.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, so what we would do, even if it's expensive, we would have shipping labels that we would send you. So you just have to smack it on there. So it's not even a reimbursement either. So you would literally just need to print the shipping label and put it on there. Or we might even be able to send you a printed shipping label based on the weight. So we're still, some of those kinks we're still trying to figure out, but are possible. And something that we've been discussing too is, if possible, maybe if it's just a lot of lead, maybe something we could do, and it's not too far out, is we could drive up and pick it up, and do it contactless that way, where there's like a pickup area and we just pick up the lead and bring it back ourselves. So.
That's a good point to a state collection site. Also, if you all have lead but you don't want to participate in a tackle exchange, your county household hazardous waste site is where you would turn in that lead to properly dispose of it, in case you were wondering about that. The problem with that is sometimes if you have a lot of lead, or even just in varying counties, they'll charge you for bringing lead in. So just make sure that you're looking at your county regulations before you're making those kinds of decisions.
And also, like a thing, like we said, we're still in the process of developing what this contactless looks like. And something worth noting is that we'll probably have a few options there as to the lead pickup. Once it's, once that's been done, there could be an option, like if it's between X weight and X amount of lead, then we mail it. If it's between this and this amount, then we come up and do a pickup, or so on and so forth. So we'll have a detailed sort of plan on how to go about this for you all. So.
The county sites do charge, so where is a better place to turn it in? Basically, sending it to us would be the best option in that case, because we have partnerships that make it more efficient for us to turn it in than for you to incur that cost personally.
Gail's asked, would it be possible to meet us at one of our tackle exchanges to give us what they may have? And the answer is, if we're having in-person tackle exchanges this summer, absolutely. If we are not, I think we would probably try to meet you if you're not too far away. And if you're close enough and you don't mind, we could probably have a drop-off site for it, if that makes sense.
We want you all to have to travel as little as possible, especially if this is still going on, which is why we would come up and get it from you in a contactless exchange.
Yeah. And what we would do too to be giving out that lead is probably it would have to be somewhat of an honor system, but we would probably come up with some sort of matrix, and we would do it anyways as to what we give people. And I think it would be a matter of just having the names and the addresses of the people who did bring in some lead or whatever, and then based on our matrix, we would send them to their homes the appropriate amount of lead-free fishing tackle. So I think that's pretty much how we're thinking of going about it. So yeah.
And again, if you have any other ideas about how that could work or what it would look like, please let us know. We are looking for creative solutions.
Yeah. And we know it's not a one size fits all sort of thing either. Different communities work in different ways, and we want to acknowledge that. And we're very open as to, hey, this is a great idea, but altering this and this might work better for over here. And, you know, those are that's sort of information we appreciate too.
I think we kind of have to wrap up here. So if anybody has any last questions that they want to get in really quickly, now would be the time.
Oh, I think I see. One second. Do you have a press release from Susan? Do you have a press release or anything similar that they could put in their newsletter? Yes. We do have something for newsletters. We've had a few other lake associations ask us if they could put something in their newsletter. So we do have something you can kind of copy and paste and format appropriately into your newsletter. And it does have the logo in there. So you can also use that as well. And with the stickers, we would have to send them to you. So.
And Kelly asked, what is your contact info to request a sample packet? You can scroll up to that link that we sent for the Google form, and you can request sample packets that way. Otherwise, I guess I can put my email. I'll put my email in there. But we would prefer to use the form to streamline that a little bit.
And Susan made a really good point that Noelle and I will definitely keep in mind. What about handing out a small fact sheet on this with every fishing license sold in MN? That is something that, you know, we can definitely work on, and establishing that relationship with that department at the DNR. Sometimes things aren't as aligned as people might perceive to be amongst different state agencies sometimes. So it might take a little work and networking and relationship building. And obviously will depend on the commissioner if they're handing out this information to every person, and as to whether they're agreeable with the work we're doing or not.
We've also been working, trying to work with the watercraft inspection program to get those fact sheets handed out at boat launches that are having watercraft inspectors as well. Who would pay for shipping? We would pay for shipping. Again, like Alera said, we could send you a shipping label that you could print out, or we would send you an already printed one. If we're doing contactless exchanges, we would incur that shipping cost.
Yes. And like, I just want to like reiterate that none of this is at cost to you. It should not be. That should not happen. So please allow us to make sure that's the case. That's why we don't really want people to like have to drive around and use their mileage and their gas to like do these things when we have the sort of resources to do that for you. Yeah.
I think that's pretty much all the time we have, Jeff, right?
Yeah. We'll try and, you know, this new world of online life, I'm trying to stay right with timelines so people can count on it and schedule and so forth. So we will put out an email blast that has a link to this a recording of this event so people can see it. I'm thinking a lot of lake associations will be having their meetings perhaps virtually like this one, but they can play some of this content or share it with their members. And we'll be getting out more information to our lake association members on Get the Lead Out, how to contact both of you. I know that next year, I believe the DNR is going to be rolling out some lead related programming to boost loon populations, kind of on nesting platforms and maybe signage and slow wake issues and other things. So there'd be kind of a full court press on two sides of this effort, I believe, all funded from the Deepwater Horizon oil spill settlement money. But thanks everyone for showing up today, and be well, stay safe, stay sane, get outside away from everybody else. Take a picture of a lake and send it to me. I'm stuck in the cities. And have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Take
you.
care.